Well, hello, everybody. It's been a little while. I can't, I can honestly say I miss each and every one of you. um, I've been traveling. I was in Australia for 3 weeks, so welcome from the U.S. I doubt anybody's joining from Australia, just the time. Hey, Rhonda in Texas, great to see you again. We'll get started in just a minute. Sorry, we got started a little late. Prerna and I were having a brainstorm in the background. Hey, Marissa from Buffalo. I would have never guessed you would be here, even though I was talking to you right before. But all right, let me jump in and do a little housekeeping and get the introduction kicked off as people join. Looks like we've got a big crew here today. So if you don't know, sorry, microphone. My name's Scott Wayman. I'm the founder and CEO at Kangarootime. Pretty soon here, we'll be joined by Prerna Richardson, Prerna Richards. Prerna, I lived in Richardson, and Prerna is a Texan, and we have that in common. But Prerna Richards, who's a coach, consultant, trainer, international speaker, and she is international. She even does speaking in Australia. We're thrilled to bring her on this webinar and talk more about the common myths around hiring and retaining staff. But before we get started, just a real quick, if I'm not overly branded today, I don't know when I've ever been overly branded, but a little bit about Kangarootime. We like to acquaint you with our company before we jump in. We are a software platform for childcare centers. We help you optimize the business. We help you manage billing and invoicing, staff scheduling, attendance tracking, reporting, and so much more. We also have a classroom automation platform that allows teachers to scale, and a parent engagement platform that allows parents to see the quality, everything that's going on in the classroom. For those of you that don't know, we have our own conference, and we call it Bounce. We would love to have you. It's in Buffalo, July 20th through the 22nd. Go to bounceconference.com. We're bringing together owners and directors and ECE professionals for a few days of amazing content. Don't think this is Kangarootime's opportunity to like lock the doors and do demos and sell you. That's not what we do at our conference. We're there to have fun with you. Have a great time and share thoughts with thought leaders. It's our opportunity to really expose our team to the thought leaders in early education, like Prerna Richards. So before we jump into the introduction, a few housekeeping notes. Certificates. You will get a certificate for attending today, as long as you did sign up and we have your correct email. Don't send an email. We will get you those by the end of the day tomorrow. Q&A. There's a Q&A button here in the Zoom user interface. If you want to ask Prerna a question, Prerna is going to be presenting information for about 40 to 45 minutes. As she's going through her slides, please chat with her, give her encouragement, let her know, give her amen, sisters. She loves that. But also click in Q&A if you have a more in-depth question. Either Marissa or I will try to answer questions in the background if we can answer them, or we'll queue them up for Prerna for Q&A at the end of the session. Your microphones and cameras, we can't see you, we can't hear you. And there is a recording being made of today's presentation. We will send that out tomorrow when we send you the certificate. Also, for those of you that don't know, we have our Kangarootime blog. So a lot of the content that Marissa helps the thought leaders that we engage with create, it ends up here. So please go and register and subscribe to our blog. So next tab. Also, there's an embarrassment of wealth when it comes to content. Prerna, you are on our YouTube channel like 6 times. Look at this. I see there the beautiful women of childcare there and there and there and there. We put all of our legacy webinars on the website. And we've been doing this strong since March 15th of 2020. This all got started because we decided when COVID was going down, we were not going to sell to our customers. We were not going to put our customers in the customer relationship. This was all about partnership, and we wanted to advocate for customers. So we started this, and then we started building all these rich relationships with Prerna and Beth Cannon and Hani Wolshansky and some of the thought leaders, Holly Alyssa Bruno, who, by the way, will be at Bounce, and a great presenter. So please, you're crazy if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get notifications every time you do. And then one more thing. Subscribe to KT Childcare Connect. This is another group that started. It's all about digital storytelling on Facebook. Prerna posts here quite a bit. Beth Cannon posts here quite a bit. Evelyn Knight, we love her content. Just be sure you join. Again, this is a place where we're trying to create community, and community is incredible and amazing. So today's discussion, today, Prerna will discuss the myths around hiring and retaining staff at your childcare centers. We know so many childcare providers are struggling with hiring staff members and getting them to stay at their centers. Prerna is here to offer more insight and help you improve this process. And right before we started, Prerna said, "Hey, Scott, I know we've done some content around this with other people." And I said, "Prerna, don't worry. There's not enough content. This is the systemic issue that each of you are facing. And we're ready and excited to hear your opinion and your take and your approach to keeping the gold of the earth, which are the people that staff our childcare centers." So Prerna, without further ado, thank you for joining. I'm gonna hide here in the background. I'll be back for Q&A. You look beautiful. Thank you for joining, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Glad that you made time for this important conversation. Let's get started. And I am excited to talk about hiring and retaining because, like Scott said, this really is the biggest issue that we're all facing. And I'm here to just talk about it from a different perspective. Let's look at it from a different perspective. We've all heard of this term, the Great Resignation. I'm sure you've heard it floating around. And I was thinking about that word, Great Resignation. And I thought, you know what? It could also be a great opportunity. How about if we look at it as a great opportunity to do things differently? It's a chance to do things out of the box thinking. It's a chance to not just sit in a deficit mindset and say, "Oh, this is so hard. I can't find people, can't find people." So I want you to switch that for right now. For this conversation, just allow your brain to think outside the box and tell your brain this is a great opportunity to do things differently. And maybe we haven't even thought of it, like, something different. So who's in the room? If you would put it in the chat, your role and your organization, who you work with, and keep that coming as I get us going. So in our time together today, I was going to talk about the importance of words, because words to me really are powerful. Hiring versus, recruiting, or retaining versus growth. And we'll talk about the GIE model that I came up with all on my own. It's an acronym because I love acronyms. It makes my head remember stuff. So thank you for sharing who's in the room. And let's start with breathing. It's really important that if you've ever attended any of my sessions before, breathing helps to engage the brain for listening and learning. You've been running around all morning. I know I have. Let's take a minute to breathe and pause. And I like to do breathing with children, so I do something tactile. So let's do a square breathing and really slow down your breathing. And let's take a deep breath in. Let's do a heart breathing. We want to get 3 deep breaths for our brain to be ready today. Here we go. Last one, send some good thoughts for yourself and the good thoughts for your team as you take a deep breath. All right, so first of all, the reality is that we are shorthanded. The reality is that the staff turnover is high and it's a financial burden. I don't need to tell you that. You already know that, right? And the burnout that's associated with challenging behaviors. So if you are having challenging behaviors in your classroom, the staff are burnt out, there's staff turnover, all that expense that comes with hiring, advertising, in-service, training, the time it all takes, right? I don't need to tell you that. But I want to start the conversation with the definition of insanity. So think about that. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll get the same results. And that's why I wanted to start the conversation with, let's use this time to do things differently. Let's bring some new things in our program that we haven't thought of and we haven't done. So everything that I'm sharing today comes from experience that I've had working with directors and owners, and they're telling me, I tried this and this worked. I'd never done this before, and I tried this and this worked. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Hopefully some ideas that you haven't tried or you've tried and you can share in the chat that it worked or what your results were. So thank you for taking a minute and responding in the chat where you're joining from. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So we're not going to do the same thing because that's the definition of insanity, right? And here we go. Let's get my slides sharing. Give me a second here. I hope you can see my slides. I'm going to make it bigger so that it's easier. There we go. So every time you hire somebody, every time you bring on somebody new, even if you're shifting a person from your infant classroom to the toddler classroom, somebody from the classroom to the office, if you make change, whether it's internal change or whether you're bringing on a new employee, there's change. And there's research that actually says that change happens in stages. I'm wondering how many of you knew about that, that change happens in stages. And why is that important? If you can recognize that change is happening in stages, we can be prepared for it, right? We can be on the outlook. We can be anticipating, okay, the change is going to happen in stages, and I'm just going to ride this wave instead of getting swallowed by the wave that's coming at me. So what are the 4 stages of change? The first one is forming. When you hire somebody new or you shift a role or you shift a title, you're forming a new team. The second one is storming. After you've formed a new team, there will be some storms. There will be some undercurrents. There will be some shifting and you'll have to realign. And the third one is norming. Once the storming subsides, then you can have a norm, a new pattern emerging. And finally is performing. So think about that, if we can anticipate that there will be forming, storming, norming, and performing, we don't get anxious, we don't rush the process, we don't feel disappointed and disheartened when change doesn't come fast enough. Hey, Christian is here. Thank you for joining from Connecticut. They're a wonderful program. Shout out to good programs along the way. So 4 stages of change. Imagine you're standing on the beach. I would love to be on the beach right now. Imagine you're standing on the beach and you see a big wave coming, a monster wave coming. You can prepare yourself. You can position yourself. But if you were not aware of the stages and you were swallowed by it, then you would just be like, where did that come from? What happened? I just hired the right people. Why are they bickering? Why are they not gelling? It's because they're in storming. And the thing with these stages is, there's, by the way, a book called Forming, Storming, Norming, and Performing. If you want to read it further, you should definitely check it out. I can also share the link to it to get a better understanding of it. There's no time limit when each stage lasts, how long each stage will last. It rides the stages, but then it cycles back every time you make a change. So it could be a change in personnel, change in curriculum, change in hours, change in whatever. You go through these stages. I would also encourage you to look at your current social culture. Who's on your team right now? Who is in your boat right now? Who is making a hole in your boat? So before you can bring on new people and hope that they're going to be the right fit and they're just going to make your program just a rock star program, Who is sabotaging your program right now? And this is the thing that I really am noticing. Several owners and directors are telling me this. They're leading from a place of fear. They're not holding people accountable. They're not following through. The responsibility is slacking because I need a breathing human being in this classroom from opening time or closing time. So I'm just going to pretend that you didn't do whatever you did. But guess what? This is backfiring because your other employees who are following your rules are sitting in the background thinking, well, she gets away with everything. How did that happen? We were supposed to give notice. This just happened, by the way, yesterday. Somebody put in a notice, a 2-week notice for taking vacation, and she was granted it. And this person had not even asked for time off, and they were granted it. So we are creating stress in our team members when we don't follow through and when we're not fair and we're leading from a place of fear. You have to lead from a place of abundance. You can't lead from a place of fear, because if you're scared to do anything, your program is just going to keep sinking. The hole is going to get bigger, right? So how do we shift our mindset from hiring somebody to recruiting? And I want to take a minute to describe why I think this is so important. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Evelyn Knight, because she also introduced this concept and she actually recruited me. So I want to include this part of the story. Hiring to me is posting a position, whether it's on Indeed or whether it's posted somewhere, a job post is posted. You've put a position up and you're hiring for it. Recruiting is slightly different. Recruiting is a mindset. I will tell you, I've been recruited 3 times in my life. The first time when we used to live in Scotland, our daughters were very little. They were, I think, 1 and 3. And I had enrolled our older daughter in the local childcare preschool next to our home. And excuse me, I would go there and I would spend a lot of time at that preschool. And with my young infant, the 1-year-old, she would tag along. And the teachers at the nursery school said to me, and I had just come from India, so I didn't really know the systems, how to become a teacher and such. I was just volunteering. I was just hanging out with my daughter. And I loved the program so much that they just allowed me to be there with my younger daughter. And the director there said, Prerna, you're here so much. Why don't you go get the nursery teacher certification? And I was like, what's that? So I signed up for it, did it in the evenings, and became their part-time substitute person. And they started paying me very little money for it. But it was just my step in the door. But I wasn't doing it for money. I was so excited to find a passion, because in India, my education had been interior design. So education was not on my radar. She sucked me into this. Then we moved to Hawaii, and the same thing happened again. The plan was, by then our younger daughter was 4, and I was supposed to enroll her in the preschool, the local preschool. And I went to enroll her, and the director said, well, I also have a toddler teacher position. Are you interested in that? And I was like, what does that involve? And she said, well, you have to get your CDA. And I said, what is that? So I signed up for the Honolulu Community College, got my CDA program. And long story short, here I am, and I've been in this field now for 37 years. Just last year, over COVID, I was recruited for the 3rd time by Evelyn. She has an amazing program where she supports directors and owners for the business side. And we met on Facebook, and she saw something in me, and she reached out to me and she said, you know, you are supporting challenging behaviors. We could partner together and you could coach for behaviors and I could do that. I was like, yes, I'm in, because I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference anywhere, anytime. So the reason I share this story is because I want you to start looking at the people that you come in contact with in your orbit, in your arena. Just start looking at people from a different perspective. Look for their attitude. I'll give you an example. I had shared this training with owners and directors a while back. Maybe it was last fall. I think I can't remember when exactly I shared it. And then this director that I'm working with, she said, Prerna, I want to share something that happened. She said, I followed your suggestion, and I was sitting at my desk at the work, and her window faces the parking lot and the pavement in front. And every morning at 9 o'clock, if she happened to be in her office window, she noticed this young boy walking across in front of her window. He just kept walking at the same time. And She just happened to be there one day, just placed herself in the pavement as he was walking by. And she asked him, where do you go? What's your name? You go every day at 9 o'clock. I'm noticing. What is it that you do? You seem so, because, time conscious and responsible. Like, where do you go? And he was a bit shy and taken aback. And he said, well, ma'am, I just work at the car wash next to your program over here. At the school right here. I just am a car wash person. She brought him in and she said, have you ever thought about education? And he's like, no, no. I mean, and so she took a chance on him and enrolled him, did the background check, got him part of her team. And guess what? He is the best after school program teacher that she's had, because he has a passion. He's excited and he's never had this chance given to him. So I hope this resonates with somebody. Start looking at the people you come in contact with for their attitude, for their skills. You can teach anything that your program does to somebody. You can teach a skill, but you can't teach attitude, right? So look at your current people, look at your people on your team. Like-minded people attract like-minded people. If you have a team member who is a rock star and you love her attitude and you love her passion, maybe she has a friend who's similar to her, or he has a friend who's similar to him, right? Your parents, like I told you, I've been recruited twice as a parent. So don't undermine your parents. Don't overlook that potential. I also think taking a snapshot, like a SWOT of your program, is very powerful. So if you've never done a SWOT, which is your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. This was what I learned when I was taking my MBA course, that SWOT, you got to do SWOT for everything. Even if you own a small business, you got to do a SWOT. But this SWOT that I'm suggesting, slightly different, not just the people with the title, right? So not just your director, not just your assistant director, not just the education coordinator. Don't just invite those people to the table to do your SWOT. Invite anybody who is committed and passionate about your vision and mission and your program. They're entitled to be at the table to do your SWOT, because they're already committed to your program and they're invested in your program. So you're not spending energy on the squeaky wheel. You are empowering folks who are showing up and doing what they need to do every day. If you haven't done this, I would really encourage you to do this once a year or at least twice a year. It's really good to pause and see, okay, what are our strengths of our program? What are we missing? What is our weakness? Where can we change? What can we grow? And what is our threat to our business? Do we have a niche? Like what is it that makes us unique, right? So once you do your SWOT and once you involve everybody, the invitation is whoever is committed to your program, who is passionate about your program. That's who's invited for the SWOT. Once you do that, then you can look at the message that everybody's sending. Whether you know it or not, there's a message going out of your program. The things that parents are talking to each other, the things that teachers are talking to each other, the things that, any family member is talking on their dinner tables and to their friends. What are they saying about your work environment? What is the message that's going out? And once you do the SWOT, it can really help you to recognize that, are we sharing our strengths? Are we emphasizing? Are we intentional about our strengths? So that was the changing the mindset from hiring to recruiting. And now I want to talk about retaining. So we hear a lot about retaining strategies, retaining bonus, retaining all these ways how you want to just hang on to people. I don't know about you, but the word retaining to me just has a very negative connotation. Like, it makes me think of this wall, like that's a retaining wall. Like, we've created a barrier and we're hanging on to you and grabbing onto you, and you're just like, gotta keep you no matter what. I'll do whatever you need. I'll just hang on to you. What do you guys think about that? Put it in the chat. Do you guys agree, disagree between hiring and recruiting? What are your thoughts about that? And what do you think about the word retaining? Do you like it? Do you use it? What do you think about it? I just feel like it's a negative vibe. To me, retaining just feels like I'm not there as a free will, like you're hanging on to me. So changing that mindset, again, it's all about our mindset, guys. It's all about our mindset. What's happening here? Thoughts, words, actions, results. right? We know this. Everybody talks about this, right? Thoughts, words, actions, results. If we're thinking negative, if we're thinking, I have to retain, we are in that mindset. So, okay, good. Thank you, Robin. You never thought of it like that. I know. Once you hear something, once you know something, you can't unknow it, right? So, yeah, I am now choosing not to use these vocabulary words very intentionally in my vocabulary. No more hiring, no more retaining. Just not going to do it. Instead, this is a place where you can grow personally. This is a place where you can grow professionally. Just for one day, if you want to choose to go into your work environment and just think, how can I help the children grow? How can I help my program to grow? How can I help the people to grow? How can I grow myself? By nature, I'm a learner. I want to keep learning and I want to keep growing. You know, words are so powerful to me. And the words that you're using, are you coming from a place of growth and abundance, or are you coming from a place of deficit? So what does that look like? A place of growth for your business would be, oh my goodness, the conversations in the hallway would change. How can we change things? How can we improve things? What can we do better? What have I missed? Instead of like, oh, we do this so well. Oh yeah, yeah, it is what it is. You know, the worst thing that I hear sometimes in the hallways where staff members say, I just work here. I don't know. I just work here. Don't just work here. Get engaged. Invest in it. This is a livelihood. You're spending a lot of time in it. So own it, be passionate about it. Otherwise, you're in the wrong place. That's a growth mindset. I can talk a whole lot more about growth mindset and fixed mindset, but having a growth mindset, what am I missing? What can I learn from it? How can I change it? It's all about that. And when we invest in people, it brings joy. If we empower people, it makes them joyful. It makes them engaged and happy to be there. It makes people feel like, oh, she saw something in me. Oh my God, I better step it up. Yeah, this is it. Caroline, yeah, you have to retain, otherwise they sue you. Yeah, exactly. There's all that negative stress, right? They'll sue us and they'll do this and we have to complete the paperwork. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. People want to be seen. People want to be heard. People want to be respected. People want to be valued and appreciated. I'll tell you, I was in a program yesterday in San Antonio, and I was so happy to hear the teachers so happy with the gift cards that they had received. It's not about the gift card. It was a little Starbucks gift card that the parents had done a drive, and parents had gathered some gift cards for their teachers and given them cumulative from that class. They'd all put in some money. But I think somebody from the administration initiated it, and the parents in the classrooms got excited, and they all put in like $2 or $3, and it accumulated to a gift card for each teacher. Anyway, it was a very simple thing, but I heard it in the hallways. They were saying, oh, that gift card was so wonderful. I needed the buzz on Friday. It was just what I needed. I felt so appreciated. I felt so valued. That's what it is. People want to be valued and appreciated for their hard work. You know, there's ways to do that, and I'll get into that in a minute. The other thing that they said yesterday was one of the teachers was given the title of mentor toddler teacher. She was so excited. She's like, oh my God, my director, did you hear? She made me a mentor teacher. I get to help other new teachers who are coming in with 18-month-old. Like, she thought she'd won the prize of something so high because somebody saw value in her and appreciated her. And that's all she wanted, to be recognized for her skill. So this is the GIE model that I love acronyms. I came up with the word G because it made me smile when I said it. The G model. So the G stands for growth. Invested in your own personal growth, professional growth, children's growth, program growth, parents' growth. What new things can you bring to your program? So we're all growing. We're not stagnant. We're not staying put. We are growing. We're growing our mindset. We're growing our perspectives. We're growing, evolving, changing, whatever you want to call it, right? Invested is for the I. Invested, if when your team members are invested in your program, they show up with their authentic self. When they're invested in their program, they speak up at the staff meetings. When they're invested in the program, they voice their opinions. They want to contribute because they want the program to succeed. When they're invested in the program, the mindset is we're all in this together, and they're emotionally invested. It's not just physically invested. It's not just for a paycheck. Those are not the people who are invested in your program. They're just getting a paycheck. They're just a warm body, and you're using them to run your program, which I don't, discredit, because right now we're short on that. So we need that help. But if you want your program to thrive and not barely survive, we need people emotionally invested. We want people invested from their heart, from their soul, from their emotions. It should matter to them when something is not happening, instead of just saying, I don't know, I just work here. I can't stand that response. I just work here. What do you guys think about that? Do you like that response? I just work here. I don't know. No, care enough to know you're taking care of young developing brains. We all know this, right? Birth to 5, the most important years, 90% of the brain is getting wired. The work that we do matters. We're not flipping burgers. We are raising brains for the next generation. We're raising children. We should care for the work we do. It's the most important work on earth. It's the most important work to raise another human being's brain. Think about that. What do you think about that? I mean, isn't it the most powerful job? Early childhood education, so amazing. The last E is evolving. And this is where we are sitting in a curious, wondering space. How can we evolve? How can we change? How can we make it better? And the G model really is at the heart of it. That really is, if we can, at the core, right? If we're growing and invested and evolving, instead of saying, we've always done it like this, we've always done it like this, it just shuts everything down. So tell me your guys' feedback. What do you think? And also, I have free resources on my website. If you want, you can use that togetherwegrow.online to download some free resources. But if you want, I can share the slides for this as well. If you're curious, I can certainly do that. So how do we engage the team? This is where I wanted to spend some time talking about. It's not about the money. It's about getting people engaged in our program. And maybe some of you are doing this, and I would be curious to know, put it in the chat if you're already doing some of these things, and also share ideas that you're using so we can learn from each other. I think this is the beauty of having a webinar where we come from different parts of America and we can share what's working and what's not working, what I've tried. So creating a sense of community, a community in your program where people feel like it's a family, a school family, where we celebrate successes, where we celebrate anniversaries and birthdays, and we recognize accomplishments and achievements, and other people know about it, and we give a shout out. This is also, by the way, very powerful for children to see as a role model when teachers get recognized from different classrooms for doing different things, especially if you're giving a shout out when the children are there. We're role modeling to them that we cheer each other on, that we celebrate each other's successes. Before COVID, I know lots of schools used to do lots of fun things. I'd be curious to know what you are doing now in your program. Please share if you're doing any fun events. Or maybe you started up the picnics again, or maybe you've started up the potlucks again, or you've started up things like that again. This was a fun one that I saw in a program, Dress Up Day. So they picked a random Friday. It wasn't like on a celebrated day. I happened to be there for coaching, and everybody was just dressed up. Really funny. I was just like, what is going on? There was people with their favorite characters. There were people with dressed up from their favorite book characters, from movies, from it wasn't Halloween. It wasn't anything. And I was just like, and they all had the biggest smile on their faces, and they were all just walking around, just feeling so cool. Didn't cost them anything, but just allowing for the fun to creep into your hallways, fun to creep into your classrooms. What are you doing? What are you guys doing for community and celebration? Put it in the chat. We'd love to learn from each other. What about connection? How are you keeping everybody connected? Do you have a Facebook internal chat? Do you have a Facebook group chat for that classroom, for that program? Are you sharing newsletters where you're making people feel connected and aware? Just a sense of belonging, right? That's what that connection is. Because as human beings, more than anything else, we want to feel like we belong. It's a feeling, it's an emotion of inclusion. So I was just giving a training of DEI right before I jumped on this one. The emotion of inclusion, whether you feel included or you feel excluded. Is there somebody on your team who feels they don't share their thoughts at staff meeting, or they don't speak freely and openly because they feel judged, and so they hold back? So feeling included or excluded is not going to help people to feel like they belong in your program. I think you know this. People stay where they stay for work, not because of just the salary. It has a lot to do with who their supervisor is and who their coworkers is. What do you guys think about that? You're staying in a place because you feel valued and appreciated and you belong. You're part of the team. You're more likely to stay with them, right? What about team building activities, getting to know each other in a deeply meaningful way? Some of the ways that I think we sometimes get overlooked when we come to team building is communication styles. So if you haven't done a team building activity or a team building training, if you've hired new staff, it's a misstep. Because when we learn each other's personality types, we learn, there's a training that I do with 4 different types of animal personalities: the lion, the golden retriever, the otter, and the beaver. Maybe you're familiar with it. But what you find out is each one of those communicates in a different way, likes to receive communication in a different way, gives communication in a different way. And also when they're under stress, they show up in the world in a different way. If we can understand each other, how we show up when we are under stress, if we can understand how we communicate, we will stop taking things so personally, right? Have you heard of that phrase of Q-tip? Quit taking it personally. So much of what is happening in somebody else's brain, or so much of what they're doing, is nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. It's what was happening in their world. I'll give you an example. I used to work for an organization that really supported positive intent. Like, positive intent was the way we were programmed to being part of that team. We assumed positive intent of the other people. So, for example, there was somebody who walked by my office, and just walked right back, and she rushed. I could do one or two things. I could choose to say, like, oh my God, what's her problem? She just doesn't want to talk today. She's having an attitude. What's wrong with her? What did I do to her? I could have all the story in my head. We're so good with making up the story. I could have this whole story in my head that she walked by and she didn't acknowledge me. But I chose not to do that. I walked down the hall and I just poked my head in her office and said, hey, hi, everything okay? I just noticed that you looked very preoccupied. Is everything okay? And I didn't realize that that was going to mean so much to her. She just was so touched and she started crying. And she said, Prerna, you have no idea. Today was such a rough day. I nearly got into an accident. I had a fight with my husband, this, that. There's a lot of stress going on in my life. And so we had a moment where she could unburden her heart and talk and not feel judged and not feel like I've now added another stress to her because I'm having a story in my head that, oh, she's just got, an attitude problem. Positive intent can change your mindset. Positive intent can be a place where we can show up with empathy and compassion for each other. And I don't know about you, but we can all use more empathy and compassion in our lives right now. I think we judge so fast. We're so reactive. And I think we just need to be a little bit more kinder. I do want to share some actual practical strategies for you to get to know your team members better. This is the Strength Finders. And I love this book because throughout, our lives, we keep hearing, what are your weaknesses? You should work on your weaknesses, make a goal for your weakness and achieve your weakness. This book flips it. This book says, what are your strengths? Let's work from your strengths. I love it. I love it. So everybody has strengths. That's the other beauty of the Strength Finders, that there is no bad strength. Everybody has strengths. If you can tap into the strengths, you can bring people, their best out. there was an organization I was working in, a nonprofit, and all of the leadership team did this. And it was a game changer because once we knew each other's strengths, we reallocated our tasks. Imagine that, thinking outside the box. We reallocated our tasks. So for example, I was the vice president of the division and I just did not like the tedious parts of doing the budgets. It was just not my strength. But there was a team member who she rocked at it. It was her strength. And I made her the support coach for working with the other directors for their budgets. Before they came to the vice president to get it reviewed, she was supporting them. So coming from your strengths, once you know people's strengths, and you give it to them, and she would just be like, Prerna, this is the best thing you did. You gave me this. I love my job. I'm so excited. This is the other one, the love languages at work. This is really quite simple. There's 5 love languages. The words of affirmation. So these are people who love to hear words of affirmation. Tell them specifically what they did good, right? Leave them a little love note. So I'll walk these through what it would look like in a morning, like a morning routine from your school. So let's walk through each of the 5 love languages. I would encourage you, if you're not currently doing this, I would encourage you to, I can actually stop sharing the screen so I can show you. I would encourage you to have your first round in the morning, call it your connecting round. So as you arrive in your program, do a connecting round, not a correcting round. You're not popping into every classroom to correct them and to check up on some task. You're using that time to connect with each person on your team. It's a connecting round. So you start your morning with a connecting round. And if the toddler teacher happens to be, her love language happens to be words of affirmation, you already know that about her. You can leave her a little sticky on her computer, on her door, something very specific. Thank you, Jessica, for doing an amazing circle time yesterday. The children were so engaged. So you're very specific why you're appreciating her, and you leave it for her. She walks in, she sees, oh, Prerna just loves me. Oh, she knows that I did a good circle time yesterday. Already she's in a good mindset. Already she's excited about that day because you took a minute to recognize her. The second teacher, the infant teacher, maybe her love language happens to be tangible gifts. So you know that about her, and you can just leave her a little Mars bar or a little Snickers bar, and with a note, little sticky on it. Just thank you so much for an amazing outdoor activity. The children were so engaged. I appreciate you. Done. Your cook happens to be, her love language happens to be quality time. I know that she's going to want some time with me, so I'm going to schedule myself to have 5-10 minutes with her. I'm going to ask her about her family. I'm going to connect with her on a personal level because she wants quality of time, and that makes her feel appreciated, valued, and belonging. So there's words of affirmation, I have to recheck my brain, and tangible gifts and quality time. The next one the teacher likes is physical touch. You know, that's her love language. So I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to give her a high five. I'm going to be like, yesterday you were a rock star. You opened the school and you were on time, and I appreciate you showing up. And the last one, what did I miss? Quality time, words, tangible gifts, words, acts of service. So my school age teacher happens to be a acts of service person to make her feel appreciated. While I'm walking to her classroom to say good morning to her, I'm just going to carry some Kleenex boxes with me, and I'm going to be like, I know you'll be looking for them today, so I bought them for you. It's so little, but it's so powerful because it makes it thoughtful, it makes it personal, it makes it individualized, and it makes the other person feel valued and appreciated, and that you care and that you notice. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. That's what it's about, right? And that's how you're going to retain your team. And that's how you're going to grow your team. And that's how you're going to engage your team if we can make them feel valued and heard and seen and appreciated. You know, it's very rarely about the money. It's about the emotion that somebody generates in us. How do they make us feel? And I love, I'm going to open up for Q&A in a minute. I love what Maya Angelou said about this. People will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So how are we making people feel? How are we making children feel? How are we making our team members feel? How are we making our parents feel? That's the message that is getting broadcasted on social media and conversations. How are we making people feel? And it isn't about a lot of time and a lot of money. It isn't about that. It's about showing up. It's about being intentional. It's about being thoughtful. And that's how we can shift the mindset from this deficit mindset of I can't find people, I'm desperate for people. Start recruiting for people and then keeping your people because they're happy there and they want to grow and they're personally invested in your programs. I want to open it up for Q&A, and I want to also open it up with, any thoughts that you have, because I want to value the last 10 minutes. So.
Prerna, great content. I want to share something. So I find that great people in your organization, you always need to find great team builders. So if you have, I've found in my journey, I've hired hundreds of people over the last 15 years. And I find that my organization always achieves the most equilibrium when I have the right number of team builders. So people that come in and they're thoughtful about each and every member on the team. It's almost like they have this altruistic value of, hey, I'm going to come to work here, but I'm also going to add to the culture, and I'm going to be thoughtful about who should do what, and understanding the love languages. And these people just kind of have those inherent, I think those are the aces. If you have, if you can scale that out at your school, if you have 40 employees, if you have 4 or 5 of those people can help you scale your mission. They're so critical. Just
the high emotional intelligence people. And for a time they used to be called the emotional intelligence was the soft skills. I don't think there's anything soft about it. The emotional intelligence is what you're talking about. They just have a way of picking up the undercurrent, the nuances, the other people. They're more altruistic in other ways. How can I help the greater good? How can I help the team? And we all need more emotionally intelligent people, and we can raise them. Scott, that's the good news of early childhood. We get to give this quality to our birth to 5. We got to model it, right? Children pick up in how we treat each other. I love that point. I love that.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think as we, there's that other value of kindness too, and it's so inherent when you work in an organization that is inherently kind, where the leadership is kind. It just seems to always trickle down, and you kind of eliminate the a-holes. You kind of eliminate the people that bring bad culture. But it's something that has to be flexible.
I'm going to share another book because I love children's books. I just think children's books are amazing. So this is a lovely book with Incredible Me. If you haven't done this in your staff meeting, you might benefit from doing it. Have them paired up. If you have 2 teachers working together, lead and team or whatever, somebody who works with each other and knows each other, start off, read the book. And basically this book is very sweet. She talks about how nobody has the toes she has, nobody has the lips she has, nobody has the cats, she's the cat's meow. It's a very sweet story. But then have them complete the sentence. So if I had to complete it with Scott, so Scott, you are incredible because of the work you're doing for early childhood. You're incredible because of your sense of organization and growth. So complete the sentence, you are incredible because, and then add 3 qualities. It's a game changer when people start seeing that other people see qualities in them that they didn't even notice. And they are like, oh my God, my team members are noticing me. They notice this about me. Sweet qualities to notice in each other. Instead of just criticizing and being negative, let's notice what's good about each of us.
I love that. Yeah. There is, there's not, I think it's the human condition, right? There's nothing more of a boost than somebody that says, you know what you're good at? And then you're like, you're on pins and needles, like, okay, no, I don't. I have no self-awareness, I'm trudging through this, but no, that's a great one. I love that.
Yes, it's a good one. And of course, our favorite friend, Mr. Rogers, he has so much words of wisdom. I use his poems as my staff meeting opening icebreakers all the time, because it reminds us again, at the end of the day, the work that we do matters. And if we are not taking care of the adults, they can take care of the kids. And it's more than just filling a position. It's igniting your passion to change the world. That's what the work in early childhood is.
Love that. Prerna, I started listening to a podcast. This is kind of crazy, but it's with Minnie Driver, and she modifies what's called the Proust questionnaire. It's an old parlor game. The Proust questionnaire has its origins as a parlor game popularized by Marcel Proust, the French essentialist and novelist, who believed that in answering these questions, an individual reveals his or her true nature. So if you're doing those team building things and those, go to the Proust questionnaire and have—
Yeah, put it in the chat. We'll save it. Put it in the chat. Yeah, let's share that link. Let's all do it. I'm always in for these kind of fun things. So whoever, we're almost out of time. Okay, cool. I'm so saving that. Yeah. See, this is why we come together, to learn from each other. I love it. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And when I was in Australia, we pulled them out after a few beers, and it was such a great thing, just learning about it, somebody's favorite concert, and hearing them talk about it, and they're passionate about it, and why. Maybe it was because their mom or dad took them, or they got to enjoy music with their soulmate or something. It's really cool.
I love those icebreakers, and whoever's listening, if you are not doing fun icebreakers during your staff meetings as an opening, you really want to bring it in where people can share a little bit about who they are, instead of just the title and instead of just the image and of perfection and performance that we bring to work with us. We can be our authentic self. And one of the, I don't know if anybody's done this recently, but one of the icebreakers we used to do was remembering our happiest time during our childhood. And that puts everybody in a happy mood. Like, what was the one thing about your childhood that you just love doing? Again, sharing from your authentic self, and what was your favorite concert, or, opening sentences like that. So powerful. I know we're almost out of time. So how is everybody feeling after this conversation? If one word to describe you right now, how are you feeling? Tired, hungry, don't put those. But other than that, nobody's awake even. Nobody's talking to us. Okay, inspired. Thank you, Christian. She's so sweet. I love her team. I did a team building training for them. They're so sweet. Oh, good. Encouraged. Yay. So this is not a downer, right? After this heavy topic of good. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is, thank you for creating this platform, Scott, for having these conversations and the chance to slow down and learn from each other.
It's become one of the best parts of Kangarootime, which is that connection to different people and feeling people getting that regenerative boost. They just like we all need this. We all like you said, Prerna, we all need to slow down and enjoy each other's thoughts and kind of the ethereal nature of working through things and working with people. Prerna, I want to say one thing before we sign off. I think coaching is so important. I think we all get stuck in the mundaneness of kind of day to day. It's great to bring in a coach like Prerna or Beth Cannon, somebody that can come in and say, these are the things that we should maybe look at differently. These are some techniques that we should really try. So Prerna, thank you for bringing your wisdom and your thoughtfulness.
Thank you. And Lisbeth, nice to see you here. Come join us at Bounce. You'll hear Scott, you'll hear Beth, you'll hear me, you'll hear Evelyn, Hani, Holly. They have a really amazing lineup, and I can't wait to see everybody at Bounce. It's next month. It's coming. I mean, I'm excited to come to Buffalo.
Yeah,
Been
we are
there.
less than a month away, and Marissa's getting nervous. Marissa's been planning.
Marissa, you got this, my friend. Marissa,
She's
you're
got
a
it.
rock star. You got this. We are so close to Niagara Falls. I've never been there even. My God, come join us. Is that part of the plan, Scott? Are we
It
going to?
is, yeah. We will be going to see Niagara Falls, and we will
Come
be doing a harbor cruise. I mean, we are right on a lake, on Lake Erie. It's not a lake you necessarily want to swim in, but it is beautiful.
on.
But yeah, we're really excited to have people come to Buffalo.
Oh yeah, and Elizabeth, I'm not even jealous. Like you're in Italy right in July? No way. Okay, fine, whatever. Enjoy Italy. The rest of us can enjoy Niagara Falls and Buffalo then. Fine.
Oh, amazing.
Well, I can't wait. I'm hoping that lots of you are coming because I'm super excited and it's going to be great to learn from each other. And thank you again, Marissa and Scott, for creating that platform and making it happen.
Yes, absolutely, Prerna. Again, thank you for sharing content. Everybody out there, please reach out if we can be of any help connecting you. Prerna will actually, I think Prerna is going to follow up with each and every one of you on this webinar too. We're going to share your emails with her. So please reach out to her. She can be of any help. Reach out to us if we can help you with any content. We need to pack our content schedule. But more than anything, take care of yourselves, rejuvenate, take time to really lean into intellectual curiosity, and come see us in Buffalo, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll see you. Thanks, Prerna.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Bye.
Bye.